Hi, you're very welcome to this Excel Snacks, 30 minutes of Excel goodness, as I like to call it. And that's what we're going to be working on today. So I'm just going to get started straight away. Let me just share my stuff here now. Okay, lovely. All right, so we're just going to have 30 minutes of Excel goodness. This session is recorded. All the details will be sent out to you afterwards. It probably will be Monday because it's normally Zita who does that, but it will be early next week. It'll be within a week, the latest. Okay. And today I'm focusing on Excel snacks, focusing on charts, and also getting them into PowerPoint. Maybe adding a little bit of fun animation as well. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm also known as the Excel Lady. That's the name other people gave me, not the name I picked. I live in the west of Ireland, where today it is stormy and raining and kind of miserable. I have a website called theexcellady.com. I'm a freelance Excel Power BI trainer for a long time. This is what I do. I've also written books on Excel, your Excel Survival Kit, which has just come out in a color edition over the last couple of months, full color edition, to celebrate Excel being 40 years old. But then you all knew that. I'm sure you had it marked in your calendars. My two most recent books, one of them is called Hate Excel, Learn to Love the Software That Can Transform Your Confidence and Career. And that's a short little book. Most Excel books are mighty tomes that you can use as door stoppers. They're both Amazon bestsellers in their categories, and they're still, in the new to computing, not doing that too badly. And that's the accompanying workbook to go with it. I also have several books of Book Boon. They will probably be repurposed for next year. And I love my Netflix. I love movies. I love puns. I love crime fiction. And married for a long time. We have one son, one and done, and he is a software engineer. And if you are not already connected with me on LinkedIn and you're on LinkedIn, please do connect with me there. Always happy to connect with people. Okay. Now, let's crack on with this. So what we're going to cover in this 30 minutes, we're going to look at some different charts. I have another Excel snack session coming up next month, which kind of covers other different types of charts. I'm going to suggest, particularly if you're new to charts, let Excel suggest something. And we're also going to look at how you get your chart into PowerPoint as well. So we're also going to look at that. Okay, just some other stuff as well. Yes, this session has been recorded. You'll be sent on the PDF, you'll be sent on the recording. And I also have a little cheat sheet to go with it as well on pasting options in Excel or from Excel. That should be more accurate. And there's also going to be a link to the rest of the snacks in the Excel file and contact details. And if you don't get this recording, etc., by, let's say, this day next week at the very latest, please feel free to contact me to let me know, because we normally try and get it out early in the week. Okay, charts. Love them, but you can't decide which one you want, okay? And this is a very common dilemma if you're new to charts. And two key things that I think is really important to note about charts. First of all, to invoke the spirit of Judge Judy, the data, all the data, and nothing but the data. Only highlight what you need. I think sometimes people go in, highlight a whole bunch of stuff in Excel and kind of, pray to the deities that be that somehow Excel will give it a chart, and invariably it doesn't. All right. So just make sure you select just what you need. If you're new to charts, there's a great feature in Excel called recommended charts, and that will often, give you what you want. So how to create a chart? We're going to do a demo on this. The data, only the data, nothing but the data. That's all you should select. But make sure you include your headings as well. Sometimes people exclude those. Use recommended charts. Let Excel suggest something. Or if you have an older version of Excel, will try to be like probably one of the versions out commissioned by now, Excel 2013, select data and insert chart. So a little overview of our chart types. You're going to have the much loved pie chart, one set of numbers, 4 to 5 categories, Although I was recently on a really good data viz workshop with a woman called Anne K. Emery, and she reckons that really pie charts, you should only have two categories in it. So I might have to rethink my options on that one. And there you go, has percentages in it. If you need to track changes over time, you need your line chart. Okay, so anything that tracks changes over time, a line chart is a good fit for that. You know, classic case of, maybe when we had the COVID cases, to track that, or number of people being vaccinated, or, my favorite example is of one organization I do work for. They do a lot of research, and in one research location, they've been taking the temperature of a lake since the 1970s. And if you see that data over the, 50, 60 years, you see the temperature of that lake slowly rising. Okay. Now, you're not going to, in my opinion, not going to run in and have a, it's not like lukewarm, but it's interesting to see that slow change over time. Bar column charts, they're good for comparing values, bar horizontal, and then you have your column charts as well. There's the bar charts. Often bar charts are better. And of course, this hasn't yet come out in Excel, but I'm sure it will. A bar graph, which I'm a bit sheepish about, but I always find quite amusing. So I often throw it in there as well. Okay. So let us ramble on over and let's have a demo. Okay, let me stop the share for a second now. Should have warned you people about the terrible jokes. But yes, let me just share my screen here now. Okay. All right, so over here, down here, you see there I've got my bar and column charts as well. Okay. So I think that at least part of the work is setting up the data correctly. So I've clicked on this one. There's a nice little keyboard shortcut you can use there, Control Shift and 8. So I click on the data, Control Shift and 8, and that selects everything. And then I just come up here to insert. I'm going to use my recommended charts, which is over here. And then I just, let's say, I'm going to click maybe on this one. Sorry, just a comment there, yeah. Screen not sharing. I'm looking here at it, Sonia, and I can see it on my second device. So I'm not sure. Let me just stop and share again. Yeah, Jessica, yeah, because I log in with a second device. That's what second device is, so I can see. Yeah. Right. But you'll be able to get it on the recording anyway. All right. Okay. So I quite like a bar chart. And I'm going to click on this one. Okay. Now, again, a couple of things just note about when you're doing your charts. Give it a title. Give it a descriptive title. Okay, sales of books versus audiobooks. And also move the legend, which is the color, the key code, up to the top. And you can modify your charts up here on this one. So there's three little icons there on the top right-hand corner, and that's where you can kind of control the chart. So the first one is the different chart elements. Okay, so let's say, for example, there I can, let's say I don't like grid lines, that one there, and I can move my legend up to the top. So that's where I can modify it. The second one down, when you see the paintbrush, that's where you can modify the styles. You've got all these different styles. And this is a bit like one of these try before you buy jobs on that one. And if I want to go to color, just you say you can go down to these ones. Now, just to say to you, one of the challenges around the color piece is that, if sometimes color blindness can be like, I think something like 9 or 10% of men have color blindness and something like 4% of women. So you find sometimes, so it means that if you're colorblind, like a red and a green beside each other kind of look the same. So, if you think that's going to be your audience, something like the one that I've picked there, all right, that kind of blue orange actually works better. Or you might have to choose like some monochromatic one, very high contrast, and that also prints out well. You don't need to worry about having a color printer for that one. So those are just kind of a couple of things just to have on your chart there. right? Okay, and then you can kind of add the other bits to it. So again, if you want to, that would be, let's say, a bar or column chart. And if you want to change it, come up here to your data, go change chart type. And let's say I might change it to a column. Let's change it to a column chart here. Okay. Now, one of the things I think that I'm not mad about column charts is that if you have long labels, you see, it's like that. And you don't want your audience to be going like this, like this. All right. So then you're kind of up against the thing of kind of resizing it. Might have to make the font a little bit smaller. So there's always a bit of a trade-off, I think, with column charts to some degree. Right. But try not to have things like slanty ones on it because everybody be going like that at it. All right, let's look at a pie chart. Again, so a pie chart is suitable, like I say, you got one set of numbers and 4 to 5 categories, or according to Anne Emery, which is a fair point, really only have 1 or 2. But I'm just going to go Control Shift and 8, select all my data, and then I'm going to come up here to Insert, and I'm just going to come over here to my little pie chart. Okay. So this time, we know we want to use a pie chart, so we go to this one. Now you see a number of options there then. Now the one thing that is a big no-no in the kind of data visualization world is to kind of use anything that's 3D. Okay, because it's seen as misleading. So generally speaking, I'm going to be using, let's say, a 2D, or as I sometimes call it in my own head, a Tweety pie. Okay. And if you want to add percentages, the easiest way to add percentages is to come up here to your chart design and pick one of the ones that have percentages on it. And when you do it that way, it means your percentages will always add up to 100%, which is what you want. All right. The percentage in a pie chart should always add up to 100% because each of them is a fraction of the whole. And what you can sometimes see with pie charts, depending on how your data is organized, is that sometimes if you do a pie chart and it comes out like this, so you just have one pie, and you kind of think, that's not what I wanted. The way to remedy that is actually just come up here and go switch row column. All right. So just to bear that in mind, sometimes if you do a pie chart and it just comes out as one pie as opposed to one with slices in it, just use that one. Okay, so there's our pie chart, and then I'm just going to maybe move the legend up to the top. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to go down here to my line charts. So remember, line charts are for things over time. So I'm going to come up here, and I just want to show you as well how you would kind of update this chart if you needed to. So I'm just going to highlight the data. I'm not going to highlight everything. Because if you kind of, I suppose because when you look at them, they make the pie slices not actually, they make them look bigger than they actually are, right? Let me see now, have I got a good example here? I'll go back to my chart design. I highlight this one. And add my percentages. So like a part of the thing is that even though they kind of all look, basically because they can be misleading and when you're actually looking at them. That's why they're considered a big no-no, Amara. That's let me see if I can find kind of a more solid explanation for you, but that is what any of the people I've gone to about the charts think. That's the thing they've said. But let me make a note here, see if I can find a more comprehensive thing. Let me just make a note here now. And I'll send this explanation to everybody. Okay, 3D charts. All right. Okay. All right. Now let me come back. There we are. All right. So let me come to the line charts. So I've got to set my data selected, and then I come to insert, and then I'm going to go to my line charts, and I'm going to choose this one. Nice. Now I've got my chart title here, okay, and I just want to show you a little trick as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a thing up here that says beverage sales. Okay. Now what you can do, a little trick you can use is that if I come here to chart title, and like if I want to make my chart title dynamic, so I click on my chart title and then I come up here to the formula bar up here, and then I just go equals, and then I just click on this one, right, and just press enter. Okay. So that gives me my beverage sales. Now, if I want to save, if I want to add to that, I just go quarter one to, let's say, quarter three at the moment, and see it updates it. All right. So that's kind of one way to make your, you want to make your chart title dynamic. Now, the other thing is that I'm looking at it and I'm kind of thinking, I'd prefer this to be shown over time. All right. So I prefer to actually see the time dimension down here. So I'm going to go up here to my chart design, this one, and I'm going to go to switch row column. See there? Switch row column. Right, and see there, I have my first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. And I'm also just going to remove the grid lines as well. So remember, you can modify the things up here. So let's say I don't want my grid lines. So I just remove the tick from grid lines. I want to kind of keep it uncluttered. Oops. And I now want to add my fourth quarter. So I come up here to this one. And the easiest way I know of, I'm not saying it's the only way, but the easiest way I know of is if you look up here, you can see there's like a blue area selected. And if I come down here to the bottom right-hand corner, see a little black cross, and all it can do is just extend that blue area here, and that updates the chart as well. Okay. And it just gives you into that one. Now, I'm keeping an eye on the time. Okay. So just to say to you as well, and this could be something maybe you could experiment with yourself, all right, is that if you make this one, see this one down here, a table. Okay, so I might just show it to you here. So if I come up here to insert and table, and I'm going to click OK. And I'm just going to delete this one so there's not too much going on. Okay. And I want to show you here that if I come along here with this one, I'm going to highlight the data, Control Shift and 8. And I'm going to go to insert. And I'm just going to go to my line chart up here. And there I have these ones. Now, if you notice here, my data is going to November, and you can see it there on the chart, and also November on this one. Now, watch what happens when I add in December into the table down here at the bottom. Okay, so I've got it here. Control C, Control V, the table, and you can see then it automatically updates my table. Okay, so those are just two ways you can kind of make your chart creation a little bit more dynamic if you want to. Okay. Now, I'm going to go into PowerPoint in a second, but I just want to see, has anybody got any questions? Stop the share for a second. Okay. All right, lovely. If you have any questions, just pop them into the chat. I will be doing the thing we're all not supposed to do, which is doing the multitask. All right, so let me just go back here to this one. So once you've got your chart done, okay, usually the next step, quite often the next step is that you need to get into PowerPoint. Okay, so you want to kind of do a presentation about it. So let's look at how you would do that. So let me share my screen here first. So I've got this one done. Okay, so this is the chart that I had, kind of first chart I showed you. And let me just do a little. So what we're going to do for this one is that you select the chart in Excel, you copy it, Control C, you navigate to PowerPoint, you can open a new presentation, and there's a couple of things about the pasting options I want to show you. So we're going to apply a thing called a design theme. Okay, and I'll show you where I get the design theme from. You choose your slide layout. The title one often works quite well. And then choose your pasting options, of which you have about 5. Okay, so there's different ones around destination formatting, source formatting, etc. I have a cheat sheet put together that will be sent out to you as well, that kind of summarizes the difference between those various options. And then we can add a little bit of animation for fun as well. So let me just go to this one. I'm just going to go to PowerPoint. I'm going to up a new presentation in PowerPoint. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is the one that I have, and I'm going to go up to this one, open up a brand new one, a blank one up there, blank one, and I'm going to add color to it. So I go for this one, I'm going to go up here to design. Okay, and let's say I'm going to choose, like I always use this one for this one, but I might just choose, let's choose this nice blue one here for that one. All right. And I'm going to change this to a title only chart. So I do that under home. And then I just come up here to layout. Now just pause for a second because the thing that I use to draw on the screen, it only works, for some reason, it only works on one monitor. Yeah, okay. Okay, all right. So I see I'm in PowerPoint now. Okay, so what I did in case for some reason, if you missed that or whatever, I just come up here to the blank, new present one up here. I then choose my design. This was the color I chose. This is one of this theme I chose. And then come back here to home. And I just want to change the layout of this slide to a title only. Okay, so see there, I might just choose a blank one actually. Blank one I think would suit better here for what I want. I have a blank one. So this one is ready to go. Now I'm going to go navigate back into my, let me just call it up here now. My PowerPoint. There's the chart I want to use. Control C to copy, or your regular copy up here, whatever it makes more sense to you. I'm then going to navigate back into my PowerPoint. There we go. Now, when it comes to kind of like, to get it into PowerPoint, the easiest way is to do like a paste copy or copy paste. So I come up here to home and I come up here to these 5 options, okay? So the first one says, it says use the destination theme and embed the workbook, okay? So if you kind of imagine what you're doing is that this decides, if you look, it was a different color in my Excel workbook, but the colors have now changed to work with the theme that I've chosen. That's the use the destination theme. And embed the workbook means it almost like, puts the workbook onto the presentation as well. Now, you need to be careful not to have anything sensitive or confidential in it, because otherwise, because the two of them are now kind of tied together. The second option you have, second from the left, and again, this is going to be in the cheat sheet that's going to go out to you. It says keep the source formatting and embed the workbook. So when it says keep the source formatting, it means it's going to come in as it is in Excel. Okay. And it's, it's going to embed the workbook as well. The third from the left, it says use the destination theme and link the data. So this means that it takes on a coloring that matches with the theme I've chosen. And it also means that if I make any changes to the data, this will be updated in the chart as well. And then this one here, keep the source formatting, basically keeps the source formatting as it is in Excel. It's like it's doesn't adapt to its environment, as it were, and link the data. And then the last one you have is, this is the one where basically you've taken like a screenshot of your chart and that's as it is. The only problem with this one though is that with this one, it's the safest, but you can't actually do anything with it. Okay, so I would probably maybe do this one. I like the destination formatting one. Okay, choose that one. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a little bit of animation to it. Okay, so animation up here just means gives you full control over what you can bring in. So I'm just going to go, let's say I'm going to go to fly in, this one. And then if I come over here to effect options, this one, you see there, down here at the bottom at the sequence, this gives you a lot of control over the order in which they actually come in. Okay, so I might say by, I can remember which is which now, series or category. Let's do this one. So that kind of bring it in one thing at a time, like so. Or else I can do effect options by the element in series. Again, that kind of brings them in one at a time. So for that one, for example, I'm just doing all the paperbacks now, and then I'm just going to do presentation on all the audio books. So that's what and I'm controlling that with the mouse. So let's see what that looks like if I run it as a slideshow. Okay, let's see now. Here we go. Okay, so I can bring in the chart. And remember, I've decided to bring it in one, in the series at a time. So every time I click the mouse, it's bringing in the different elements like so. So it just gives you more control over the presentation to actually just do it that way. All right. A second. Okay, lovely people. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. 13:28, as I say, that's the time, not the year. Any questions before we wrap it up in the last minute or so?
Just a question on, if you
Sure.
had more than one chart, could you bring in let's say you have 3 charts in your presentation.
Yeah.
Could you bring in your 3 charts just like, like we did, like you did on the on the chart in the presentation?
Well, you bring them in separately.
Okay, and would they need to be on separate slides?
It's probably easier to have them on separate slides, but you wouldn't need to because they kind of come in as an entity, as it were. All right. Yeah. So no, you wouldn't need to have them on separate slides. You could have them kind of all, but I think it's probably easier to read if you have one chart on one slide.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
got you.
All right. Yeah. Now, one thing, let me just share one thing here now. Let me look at my notes here for a second. All right. I just had a question about the Power BI thing. So because somebody was asking me about Power BI. So if I'm here in the presentation, so if I come up here to insert, and then see there everything there, Power BI. See there, Power BI? So you click into your Power BI. Now you probably have to, when you're doing the Power BI, you're probably going to have a link from the Power BI service and then just put that into it. Of course, assuming it would work now, which of course it may or may not. It usually does. Yeah, I don't have a Power BI thing open, but that would be if you want to pull it in from Power BI, that would be how you would do it. Of course, it doesn't work now when I'm giving a demo, which is kind of a rule of these things, but that's there under Insert and Power BI. Okay, lovely people. Any questions or comments before we wrap it up at 1/2 the hour? Okay. Okay, lovely people. No problem. Very welcome. So I will be sending that out, or Zita will be sending that out to you early next week. If you don't get it for whatever reason, just send me a note and we will get it to you. And there'll be a cheat sheet on it. All right, let me just stop the recording.